Hi everyone, welcome to Coffee and Chat with Y. I'm your host Yamalat. Today I have a very special guest with me. Her name is Angelina.
Hi.
We are excited to be here for you guys. We want to offer you something nice and special. But while we were making our coffees, we had a fun little game today. And I asked Angelina if she was a type of coffee, what coffee would she be this week? And she had to pick, and she actually picked a matcha latte. Why did you pick a matcha latte?
I think because the description was
You're
you're feeling grounded, you're
and
feeling
healing.
healing,
Well
kind
balanced.
of, yes, exactly. Well balanced.
Now, if can you tell us a little story of why you feel well balanced? What made you feel accomplished this week?
Well, I have two children, not at home, adults.
What a
And
blessing.
one of them recently passed the Massachusetts bar.
Congratulations
Thank
to
you.
him.
Thank you.
Cheers
Yes.
to parents and their struggles. I know it's not easy raising a baby, a teenager,
Mhm.
a young adult.
Amen.
You are still a parent no matter what age they are, right?
Mhm.
So that is the reason why I actually wanted to do my first episode with you because I know that you work for the child study team, and I think it would be a great opportunity to give our viewers what this podcast is actually about. And as you mentioned before, you are a mom.
Mhm.
You have two beautiful
I
children,
do.
and now were you going to school while your children were young for your profession?
So I was able to get my master's in social work prior to having children. I was married, um, and then I took some classes once I got my position that required some cultural understanding and tech understanding. While I had my younger son, Jackson, he I took some classes, but in general, before I started a family, I was able to obtain my master's in
Which
social
is
work.
great.
Yeah.
Which is something that is not always required, but we definitely recommend the youth to finish school before jumping into a family or children because it's in our time right now it's definitely expensive.
It is. I mean, it's hard. It's hard to juggle both family and school, but it's tough.
It
And
is.
I admire people that are able to do that.
So just like coffee, you were brewing into your educational path,
Mm-hmm.
then you jumped into motherhood.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit how the educational path and being a motherhood intertwined, and what were your challenges that you came across?
Oh, um, well, when I first started work, my first year, at the end of my first year, I got pregnant. So I had a year to kind of get settled, understand what I was doing, understand the people I was working with. Then I got pregnant with my son, and it was difficult because as a mom, right, your priorities shift a little bit. You have this little human that you're responsible for, that you want to be the best for, that you don't really know what you're doing, right? Parenthood doesn't come with a manual. So
Unfortunately.
so you're trying to figure it out and you're away from them all day as a working mom. So it's hard to juggle your focus in terms of what your responsibilities are um, as a social worker in a school and those children that you're dealing with and what's happening at home with your own children eventually.
Yes.
Um, so you're juggling a lot of different things and a lot of different emotions. So physically, as a new mom, you're trying to figure out, how to get your body back, how to understand what's happening.
Yes.
I mean, mentally, you're trying to figure out how do you balance taking care of a household and a husband and now a baby. And at work, you're trying to figure out how to focus and get what you have to get done. So it's a big transition for anybody. And I luckily had the support of extended family, and some people don't have that. So I know, yeah, I recognize that, right? Because that creates a totally different environment when you have that support versus when you don't.
Yes.
So
And I love that, and I think that that is the most honest and purest answer that I can receive and our viewers can receive, because I don't think people or society understands unfortunately the struggles of a woman, right?
Yeah.
Men, yes, when you get married and you have a family, your main goal is to provide. You provide for your family. You try to bring up the finances and make sure everything's okay. But as a woman, you have to nurture everything.
Yeah.
And if you become a career woman, then you have to nurture your career. And I don't want to say you're always struggling, but I want to rephrase. I want to put in a nicer word. You're always hustling,
Yeah.
right? When you're a single parent, not just being a woman or a man, because I know there's multiple
Mm-hmm.
single men parents out there.
Mm-hmm.
You're hustling. Your time is everything, and sometimes society doesn't understand that,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's why we are here to recognize that hustling in every aspect, it's okay. But also taking a peace of mind and taking a moment to kind of zen, have a chat, have some coffee
Mm-hmm.
can work for your mental state.
Of
And I think
course.
that's a
Of
great
course.
way to open up to everyone. And that's why I am so honored to have you here
Oh, thank you.
because I love the way you view life.
Oh, thank you.
And it's huge because I don't know how many struggles you've probably managed, but I know the struggles weren't easy. We're not just gossiping, we're grounding, right? So
Okay.
now that we figured out your home life,
Mm-hmm.
let's talk a little bit about your work life.
Okay.
Now you are, if you can you please introduce me your um, title?
Okay. So I'm on the child study team in a public school. I am the school social worker. So my responsibilities include identifying kids that are having difficulties in the classroom, academically, socially, emotionally, identifying those kids or helping the teachers to identify those kids, and then building plans for them, IEPs, which are documents that come from special education law. We do related services, OT speech, PT. We arrange for educational services for them in the class. Most of my students that I work with are placed in special education schools. So they're actually placed out of the public school district. But my home base is one of the elementary schools in a public school district. And I'm able to work with administration. Like I said, just getting the kids what they need to succeed to the best of their ability.
Now, just to jump in a little bit, not too much, but how does a child get to your desk? Like, what are the child steps or a parent step? Like, what is it something that a child or a parent can look at and say, listen, maybe I can speak to a child study team
Mm-hmm.
at my school. So,
Yeah.
what are the awarenesses that you see that are sometimes just missed, either at home or
So yeah, so I mean, the parents they drop their kids off to us for 8 hours, 7 hours a day, and they hope that we're going to have their best interest at heart. The teachers are going to have their best interest at heart, and they're going to recognize if they're having difficulties. And the teachers have a responsibility to teach what the state says. Okay, they have to, accomplish these tasks or reach these goals in the year that they're in their classroom. So when you have a student that, for emotional reasons, behavioral reasons, or intellectual reasons is not reaching those goals, we have something in place called support services where the teachers then request support, and that's when you gather a different team of people, different
different groups.
professionals who can then meet with the parent and talk about what some of those needs are. Maybe something's happening outside that we didn't know about. Maybe that child's not sleeping well. Maybe their parents are divorcing. Maybe there was a death in the family. I mean, there are a plethora
a
of
million reasons.
Things that could be going on. Our focus obviously is when we have them in school, but sometimes you have to take a step back and say, is this really what we need to be talking about right now? Is their ability to add and subtract single digit numbers what we need to focus on? Maybe there's something going on at home, or maybe parents are going through something, and how is that impacting them? Right? Because we don't have them in isolation.
Nope.
They come to us with baggage like everybody else in every other profession. Kids come with a life outside of school. And as I mentioned before, like, my kids were blessed to have that village.
Yes.
Some of these kids are not. And so
nope.
You have to prioritize are they being fed enough? Are they sleeping?
Vitamins?
Can they see? We have kids that come in that need glasses and the parents just don't know. And not because of neglect, but just
No.
because they're working and they're trying to make ends meet. And, they have other kids that they're dealing with. And so those are the kinds of things you have to look at first. So when they come to support services, that's really our goal, is to kind of get a picture of what's happening outside of school, what's happening in school, and how can we help that situation. And that's how they come to me.
But that was good. I actually really did enjoy that you say some parents do get defensive, and
Yeah, of course. I would too, though.
thank you.
And
And
of
that's
course,
okay.
of course, because they're your baby, right? You see them as like these perfect little beings. You deal with it at home. Like when they have behavioral issues, you deal with it at home. You don't want somebody else telling you that, your kid is misbehaved or that your kid is failing, or, like we want our kids to be successful and we want them
Yes.
to be productive in society. And so when somebody else questions their ability to do that, we become defensive, and that's why it's so important. And I think we experience this, right? Like when you first came to us, like, you have to be able to hear a parent. You can't just assume that because that parent is defensive, they don't believe what you're saying. But parents have to be heard too,
Yes.
right? You have no idea what their experience is outside of school or what they're dealing with. If you come out guns blazing about their kid, they're going to be like, well, screw you, I'm not going to listen to you now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's counterproductive
Yes.
to what we want to do. And
Yes.
so
And
people have to trust that you want what's best for their kid.
believe it or not, I trust in my son's education system.
Yeah.
Because I came from that education system. So to know that is to see where I am, to see where my village has gone with it with
Yeah.
education, and let's just say out of the state, out of anywhere, it still follows them.
Mm-hmm.
It's a blessing. It's a
Yeah.
blessing in itself, and that's one of the struggles that multiple people have is asking for help.
Yeah. It's not easy. I mean, some people see it as weakness, but it really,
I know
if it's for your kid,
you have to do it
yeah, you got to do it.
because no one else is gonna do it.
Yeah.
What are your best advice for? Let's see. Let's do one advice for a parent who is actually struggling and has not asked for help. Like what best 2 3 steps do you recommend for them to do?
Um, in terms of getting their child support in school,
Yes.
I mean, I think you always have to, in any organization, you have to find somebody that you trust. You have to find that person that, you walk into the building, they smile at you, or they know your child's name. Find that person, right? We tell
Yes.
kids, find the helpers, right, in the community when they're in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
So the school's your community. Find somebody that you trust that you can go to and say, hey, I'm struggling. I don't know what's happening. And allow that person to help you. You have to allow that help, or
Yes.
it's never going to happen. It's
Yes.
never going to. You have to trust somebody, or you're gonna be isolated.
Yes.
So I would say my best advice would be to find the person that you feel like you can trust
Yes.
in the building and go to them.
If I'm not mistaken, sometimes the help that the child receives in grade school, it can follow them even in college, right? Sometimes I know some documents they're allowed to take with them into college.
Yeah.
If
So
be.
most colleges have an Office of Disabilities. So if your child has an IEP or a 504 plan, the IEP that program ends at graduation, whether that's 18 or 21. But a 504 plan is, that is from American with Disabilities Act. It can follow you your whole life.
Perfect.
So it definitely can go to college for support. My son has a medical condition. He was diagnosed with Crohn's at 11. And so when he went to college, he went to the Office of Disabilities for support. He made sure that, he was on a floor that had a bathroom. He made sure that he had additional time if he needed it, if he was flaring. So that can go with you all the way through college. Most colleges, I would say any college that receives federal funding would have an Office of Disabilities.
Another great information that if you didn't know for your child, you know now. So that's why you have to advocate and fight for your child, fight for their right in the child
Yeah.
in the study teams.
I think you have to know what you have at home, right? Like we all have this desire for our kids to be perfect, our kids to do everything they're supposed to, for nobody to criticize, for them not to have any failure or rejection or misunderstanding. We all want them to be perfect. But if you don't know what you're sending out into the world and you don't accept what you're sending out into the world, it becomes difficult to help them in the end, right? So I used to say all the time, when my kids were little, I'd be like, oh my God, you're so perfect, you're so perfect, you're so perfect. And then it was like, well, you're not perfect.
Yeah.
You're not you're perfectly flawed.
Yes.
Or perfectly imperfect.
Perfectly imperfect.
And that's okay.
And that's okay.
And that's okay because none of us are. And it's this illusion. And that's, of course, we talked about like the social media thing society. Before. Like there's this illusion that people put out that everything is perfect and everything is going well. And that just isn't the reality, So you're better off building and supporting a child that hey, my kid doesn't sit very well for a long period of time, or my kid doesn't read very well, or they're no good at math. Like I'm the worst at math.
So just to wrap up, how are you feeling?
I feel good.
Good. I'm so glad you did come here with me and my team to show up and interview with us. I'm really excited.
For having me.
We did get you a little gift for you. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much.
And being the first guest.
Thank you.
How does it feel?
I feel good. I love this. I love what you're doing. For lack of sounding condescending, I'm so proud of you. No. You're going out as a woman and you're doing what you want to do, and I love that. I love that for you. And I love that for him because I feel like he's going to see his mom doing what he wants to do.
Yes.
And that's
so it's funny. He was a little jealous this morning because you know how he is.
Yeah.
He can't see me leave the house happy. And he said to me,
well, he wants in.
Yeah, he wants in. And I'm like, I'm gonna be sitting down working, and he's like, I can't with you in this podcast. You make no money off of it. And I said, why would you say that to me? And he was like, well, you're not making any money. And I was like, yeah, but I'm putting my heart and I'm doing this because I love this.
Peace.
I'm finding peace, right? Thank you. Thank you. No worries. But I'm once again, let's do a little cheers to having you here.
Thank you so much.
No, thank you. Coffee and Chat with Y. Hope to see you soon. Bye, guys.